my channel. I'm Katerina or Kat if you're new here, and in today's video we are going to be talking about these 7 books that I read in the month of May. It would have been 8 books, except I am literally 50 pages from the end of this very big fantasy book that I'm reading, and I won't be finishing it until tomorrow, which is June 1st. And I will say once again, May was such an amazing reading month. I read across multiple different genres. I read graphic novels, sci-fi, fantasy, romance. I stepped outside of my comfort zone with quite a few different reads, as well as the fact that I found 2 5-star reads this month. I usually in a year give only maybe 2 to 3 5-stars, and this year alone I've probably given around 5 to 6. Now, before we get into the books that I read in the month of May, let's talk about stats. So what did I read statistically in the month of May? So I did finish 7 books, which ended up being 3,453 pages, which is my highest page count for 2026 so far in a month. It took me an average around 3 days to finish a book, and the top genres that I had were fantasy, romance, and sci-fi, which this is the first month this year that fantasy has been the #1 genre for the month. Most of the time it's been romance, which I have been reading quite a few romances. So definitely a really great month when it came to reading. So let's talk about the books that I read in the month of May. And starting off the month, I did pick up Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett. I think that's the author. I don't have the physical book with me. I did give this one a 3-star. I really enjoy cozy fantasy. It's probably one of my most favorite subgenres in fantasy. I always like to step away from big epic fantasies and kind of focus on something that's a little bit more laid back, a little bit more low stakes. And this book definitely had it. It was very laid back. It was extremely low stakes. You were more focused on the cozy aspect than the fantasy aspect. What I really enjoyed about this is that the author either owns cats or watched a ton of cat videos to capture the essence and embodiment of what cats do, and I love that. I really love that in this book. But where it really kind of drew back for me was in what I find in a lot of cozy fantasies is that there's this line that you kind of have to carefully follow, and if you kind of veer too much to the left or too much to the right, you're either going to have too much coziness and laid back with no fantasy element, or you're going to have more of that fantasy element and it's not going to contain that coziness. In this case, for Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter, I did feel like it veered way too much to the left where nothing was happening. We were literally watching cats for over 300 pages, and there was plot, but it just didn't matter. Like, I didn't feel like it was important enough to me and that I didn't really care. And on top of that, our main character really doesn't have a backbone. And then we have a male main character that we get nothing. We know nothing about him. He doesn't have any dimension to him, and that's where I really think I struggled with this book. So unfortunately, this one was not for me. And then from there, I did pick up Heartstopper Volume 4. As I said, I believe in my last reading wrap-up, is that I am doing a reread of this series because Volume 6, the final volume, comes out in either July or August, I can't remember, and I want to be caught up and reread with the series. It's cozy, it's wonderful. I love the diversity in this book, the representation in this graphic novel series. I think the artwork is really beautiful. This is just one of those like cozy, laid-back books that really kind of just make my day. Then the next 3 books I went into a lot of detail in my last reading vlog, which was the TBR cards, choose the books that I read during that reading vlog. First book that I picked up, and I did give a 5 stars, was Recursion by Blake Crouch. And to give you kind of an idea about this book has a very short synopsis on the back. Pretty much all he gives is that there is this fake memory syndrome where people are having these memories that aren't their own, and that there is this detective that is kind of trying to figure out what's going on, along with there's a scientist who might be kind of the key to all of this. That's all you get for the synopsis, and there's a reason why. Within 10 pages, I can't tell you anything past the first 5 pages because everything else would be a spoiler. In this book, there are so many plot twists, so many turns, so many roller coaster ride moments that I feel like if I would talk about anything else in this book, I do feel like I would give away the plot. Every time you think that the plot is the plot, it's actually another plot twist, and Blake Crouch does such an amazing job at layering his plots to the point where you really don't know what's reality and what's fake, and what's fake might not be fake. And it was just a crazy fun time. I really enjoyed myself. I can definitely see myself picking up another Blake Crouch book. Highly, highly, highly recommended. And after picking up Recursion, I was like, you know what? I have my 5-star read. I'll probably not have another one for quite a few months. Lies. The next book I picked up was Blood Over Brighthaven by ML Wong. This was another 5-star read in that reading vlog. And as I said, I go into a lot of detail and depth about what my feelings and thoughts are on this book, because this was a brilliant masterpiece of a standalone fantasy where you're bringing in multiple different facets of culture and history and who has the right to history and conquerors versus conquered, and a magic system that is so well thought out. For a book that's only 416 pages, this book gives you a lot. You have wonderful character development, you have a world building that is absolutely phenomenal, and you have a magic system that is the most unique magic system that I have read in a very long time. And then on top of that, you have themes that the author is touching on, from history to culture to racism to classism to misogyny to sexism. I mean, there's so many things that this author touches and points out the flaws of. It was amazing. I mean, I had so many thoughts and feelings on this book. Before you feel scared away thinking like, oh, I can't understand any of that, this book is also very accessible. I felt like when I was reading it and how the author was introducing these themes was done so well. But alas, after having that 5-star read, all good things must come to an end, and my next book that I read during that reading vlog was actually the worst book that I've probably read this year, and that was The Dark Lord's Guide, oopsies, it's upside down, The Dark Lord's Guide to Dating and Other War Mayhems by Tiffany Hunt. I ended up giving this one a 2.5 star, and that, I feel, in my brain is very generous. Here's the thing, I should have DNF'd it. There were so many scenes in this book that I feel were done so poorly and handled so poorly that I should have DNF'd it and just been done with it. But I thought maybe, like, you know, because I'm already at the 300 page mark, there's only 200 pages left, I'm like, maybe there's something redeemable about this book. And I got through it and nothing was redeemable. So this book is marketed as a darker, spicier version of The Assistant to the Villain. But where this book falls short on is everything. The humor is very misplaced and very uncomfortable. The male main character in this he's like the biggest red flag I've ever seen. Like, when you read these romanticides and everything and you have these dark, gloomy characters, you're kind of like, oh yeah, you root for him. This is a guy that you don't root for. He is creepy on another complete level. What's strange is that our main character is swooning for him while she's being kidnapped. But not only that, there are some scenes in this book, and I do discuss this in my reading vlog, that if these scenes were to happen in real life, they would not be funny. And our author, in one particular scene, one that I have had a few people reach out to me asking me what scene it was, and I won't say because I don't want to spoil the book, but there's a scene in this book where the author handles it extremely poorly and pokes fun at it throughout the book. And this is where it gave me the big yuck, because this scene, if it happened in real life, would be very traumatic. I will not be continuing with the second book that is, I guess, supposed to be coming out at some point this year. I don't know. This book just gave me the yuck at the end of the day. Then from there, I did continue my adventure of Carl's Doomsday Scenario. This is the second book in the Dungeon Crawler Carl series by Matt Dinniman, and I did give this one a 3.75 star. I will say that now that I'm not reading the series in the middle of having the flu or being sick, I will say that I'm actually enjoying the series, because when I read the first book, my brain could not comprehend what I was reading. I was very sick, I read it, and I'm like, this was not for me. Definitely say that I'm locked into this series. I definitely want to know more. We got a little bit more of the system that's kind of going on behind these games, this world, this universe that exists behind these games, and a little bit more plot. But what I will say that I think I'm still struggling with is that these books are kind of repetitive, because when you think about a video game, every single level maybe looks different, but the aspect of the game is still the same. You still have to level up, you still have to loot, you still have to battle bosses, you have to still battle, you know, talk to NPCs and all of that. And so I think that that's what's so hard about these books, is that sometimes they can feel repetitive. Do I still want to read the rest of the series? Absolutely. They're a fun time. Am I still not really a fan of Donut? Yeah, I know everyone loves Donut, but I actually, strangely enough, prefer Carl. And sometimes I feel like she is going to be the reason why everything's gonna go wrong for Carl. She just doesn't truly grasp the nuances of things like Carl does. Like, Carl's able to kind of see behind the words of what these people are saying, and she is not able to. She takes everything at face value, and I think that that is where Donut's flaws really lie. Like, she just drives me absolutely insane. But that being said, I will be continuing with the rest of the series. And then finally, I did end the month on a little bit happier note. I did pick up And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison, and I did give this one a 4 star. And I will say I really enjoyed it. Once again, B.K. Borison has become an auto-buy author for me when it comes to romance. I love the laid-back romances. I love the focus on emotional characters. I love the focus on vulnerability. This one I really did enjoy, kind of the banter and the cuteness between our characters. Was the attraction there very quickly? Absolutely. Especially since we have two characters, well, specifically one character who kind of misconstrues construed a situation and kind of blew everything out of proportion, and it's the reason why they have tension between them. I think it's silly, but then also it was fixed very rapidly at the beginning of this book. But it was cute, it was adorable. I do love myself a good laid back romance now. Now that I'm like have spread my wings and flown from my coop of just reading fantasy, it's really nice to kind of delve into a romance and just not feel like I have to utilize my brain for every single thing. That was the last book that I finished in the month of May. So here are the books, minus the one book that was a library loan, the books that I read in the month of May. I hope that June is going to be another great reading month. If there are any books that you read in May that you really enjoyed, definitely let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed my videos, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I will see you in my next video. Bye!